Oh, got it. All right. Hi, everybody. As I was introduced before, but just to start with the introduction, since we're recording now, my name's Jeff. I am the CEO of Ayelet Tours, and since 1986, we've been connecting people to Israel and the Jewish world. As I think it was Karen mentioned, we're right now organizing the Hadassah convention in Israel. We're the official travel partner for Israel for Hadassah. We, of course, work very closely with other organizations, including the Cantor's Assembly, putting trips together all over the world. We're the home of the Traveling University, featuring outstanding scholars that we're going to talk about this evening. The one in particular that you're going to encounter on this trip is Professor Stephen Burke. We also run trips all over the world under the banner of Best Day Adventures for Jewish singles. So if you know Jewish singles in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, you can send them our way. We've got New Year's in Jamaica. We've got an Alaska cruise coming up. We've got, they were just in the Galapagos a couple of weeks ago. They do amazing stuff. So, and of course, lots and lots of congregational trips to Israel and other destinations. So by way of introduction, that's who we are, which is all a semi-long way of saying that you are in very good hands. Yes, we have, of course, run trips to Italy in the past. And as Cantor Rosenberg mentioned, we had been planning one with the Cantor's Assembly when the world decided to take a little break in 2020. So you can imagine these last couple of years have been challenging ones for those of us that make our livelihoods in the travel business, as they have been challenging ones for really all of us. But I'm very happy to say that the world has woken up to travel. I was in Morocco with two groups, one congregational and one part of our traveling university, about a week and a half ago. Very successful, amazing trips to Morocco. We just had a group in Greece, of course, many groups in Eastern Europe, and all of this is very encouraging to see people traveling again and to be reminded, which frankly I don't think any of you on this call need a reminder of how important it is to actually have connective experiences, to go out into the world. And Zoom is lovely. We're all talking on Zoom. I didn't have to drive to Boston, which I appreciate. But in the end, there's simply no substitute to sharing physical space with people. You can look at pictures of the Trevi Fountain or the Spanish Steps in Rome online. It doesn't take away from the majesty of going and seeing those in person. You can see pictures of the beautiful synagogue in Florence. It does not compare to physically walking in the door and being in that space, and maybe hearing Cantor Rosenberg sing a tune in there. Who knows? Maybe we'll have that opportunity. There is simply no substitute. And I can tell you, as somebody who spent the last 20 plus years putting trips like this together, that frankly, the energy and that connective nature lasts long beyond the trip itself. I'm sure for those of you that have traveled on congregational trips in the past, you know that coming back from that trip, the connections that you've made with other people on the trip, your fellow travelers, changes the experience you have in the community long beyond the trip itself. So I'm excited for those of you that are interested in going on this trip, and hopefully we'll have that experience, not only to get to go see the sites and experience and meet the people of Italy, but also to have this experience together as a group and know what sort of an impact it has on your involvement in your basically the feeling that you have participating in the community after you return. So with all of that, by way of just kind of a general overview and introduction, we're going to talk about a few different things this evening. I'm going to go through and talk to you a little bit about the level of accommodations. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about different options in terms of getting there, flights, how that's being handled. We'll talk a little bit just in terms of itinerary. We won't go through the full program. The full program, of course, is on the website, and I'll show that to you in a minute. But just to give you a sense of the type of experiences that you're going to have and of course, the level of scholarship that you're going to encounter. And then we're going to open it up to questions. I'm going to try to be respectful of everybody's time. We don't want to take too long, but we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. And then, of course, just know you have a resource. We're here. I don't work alone. I've got an amazing team of people that work with me. Daron, who was mentioned earlier, lives in Europe and meets many of our groups over there. With all of that as by way of introduction, I'm going to share my screen, but at least you had a chance to see what I look like. I'll be a little in the corner after I do this, and we'll go through a few things, and then we'll talk. We'll take some questions and answers. Okay, somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, great, excellent. That also checks if you're paying attention, so that's a good thing too. All right, so what you have here is the landing page for the trip to Italy. As it mentions, it's featuring Professor Stephen Burke. Now, by show of hands, how many of you are familiar with Professor Burke? Some yes, some no, some maybe. All right, Professor Burke he's a professor of history at Union College in Schenectady, New York. He is an extremely well-respected and sought-after lecturer. If you have participated in some of our virtual programs that we've been running for the last couple of years, he's a featured scholar. And frankly, he's known for not just the breadth of his knowledge, but also the depth of his knowledge. He speaks without notes, completely from memory, and frankly, I've heard a lot of speakers in my day. There's nobody like him. He is extremely impressive in his grasp of history in general, and Jewish history in particular is unparalleled. He frankly sees history like a picture in his head. He understands and sees how it all fits together, and does an incredible job of telling that story and sharing that story with you. So while you're traveling together in Italy, he's going to share that through the lens of Italian Jewish history, and it's really it's an incredible experience. So I look forward to having him with you while you are over there. Okay. A couple of things, as I said, I would go through. Right down here, if you're on the website, and by the way, you can get to this right from our homepage, which is ayelet.com. You'll see a bunch of tiles on the homepage, and one of them is for the Italy trip. So right here, if I click this little hotel details, it gives you a sense of the hotels. This trip is based on pretty much exclusively 5-star hotels, except for the one night in Siena at the 4 Points by Sheraton, which is still a very lovely 4-star hotel. If you'd like to read a little more, of course, we all know how to use the internet. You can always go to TripAdvisor or Google or wherever you want to find out more information about the hotels, but there's little descriptions. And if you click the little more buttons, you get some pretty pictures that you get a sense of what these hotels look like. So you have that as a resource online. As I scroll through the page, this will give you a little bit of an overview. You'll see the sequence of the tour: 4 nights in Rome, then 1 night in Siena via Pitigliano. You're going to stop in Pitigliano. There's a Jewish bakery there. You get a chance to see that. After Siena, you'll continue on to Florence. Of course, see all the highlights in Florence, the Duomo, the Ponte Vecchio, all of the great stuff that you would expect to see there. On the way between Florence and Venice, you're going to stop in Ferrara, which is a lovely town, a lovely Italian countryside town, and also the home to a new and incredible Italian Jewish museum. So you're going to have a chance to see that. And then 4 nights at the end in beautiful and really unique Venice, Italy. While you're in Venice, you're going to use that opportunity not just to explore Venice itself. You're also going to see the nearby islands of Burano and Murano. You'll see some of the incredible craftware that's created there, the bright houses, and also go to very nearby. Well, shouldn't say very nearby. A couple hours away, you're going to Trieste, which has very a storied Jewish history. It goes back to the 1200s. And in addition, listen, I'm not your guide. I'm not your scholar in residence. You're going to learn all these things along the way, but you'll find out about the transports, the boat transports for those between the wars trying to escape Europe and get to Israel. This was a key port, very important port during that time. And you're going to see and hear about that, and of course, learn from Professor Burke. So by way of just kind of overview with the program, that's that. I just want to share with you a map. You've probably seen Italy before, but just to give you a sense of the geography of this. This, of course, is Italy. There's the boot. Down here is Rome, and this is the path that we just talked about. On your way to Pitigliano, to Siena for the night, Florence for a couple nights, through Ferrara to Venice right up here, and then Trieste right over here near Slovenia and Croatia. So just to give you kind of that sense, and of course, if you pull back, you get the sense broader, with broader Europe. There's, Algeria and all of those things down there. And then if you get a little closer, of course, you get to see a little bit more in terms of the route that you're taking. You're going to cover a good portion of Italy. Now, in terms of transportation, I talked a little bit, I said I would mention transportation flights. We are not currently planning on including group flights for this tour. If there's enough interest from your community, let me back up. Let me say the reason why. The reason why is we have people for the general tour that are coming from all over the United States. So generally between people coming from different gateways, some people coming early, choosing to come a couple days early to adjust to jet lag, staying a few days late, it can be difficult in a tour like this to get critical mass for group flights. If you as a community, you're all coming from Boston and you feel like you have enough interest in group flights, that means having 10 people traveling together on the same flights, paying, not using points or miles, for coach tickets, not upgraded tickets. If you think we have enough interest in that, we can look at group flights. Otherwise, I can make some suggestions. There are several carriers that go nonstop from Boston to Rome, talking about KLM, Delta, Air France, and of course, you're ending your trip in Venice. So you have some options, either KLM or Air France, where you can go nonstop on the way into Rome. You can go one stop on the way out from Venice, or of course, after the trip, you can make your way back to Rome and simply do nonstops, round trip in and out of Rome. That's a possibility as well. In general, the flights out of Boston are going to be leaving in the afternoon, somewhere around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, getting into Rome somewhere around 7 o'clock in the morning, very early. And then on the way back out, if you're leaving from Rome, if you're connecting into Rome, it's usually around 10 o'clock in the morning, getting back to Boston about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But people have miles, people have points. Maybe you've been collecting points for the last couple of years and you'd like to use them and upgrade your flight, travel in premium economy or business. All of that you would do directly with the airline or the credit card company where you have those points or miles, and get those flights in place. We do have an air department. If you would like assistance with booking your flights, we cannot help with points or mileage tickets, but if you would like assistance with just actual tickets that you're paying for, you can contact our office. The phone number, of course, is on the website. It's 800-237-1517, but again, it's on the website. You can dial extension 340 is Ann Jeanette or Angie in our air department. She can help you out. If you don't remember any of that, you can just email me. I'll get you to the right place. I'm jeff@ayelet.com. Okay, so that's in terms of transportation. One other thing, if you are looking to maximize the quality of your experience, regardless of your destination, I always recommend taking some time in advance to familiarize yourself with the destination, with the history. We do have a reading list and viewing list, which you don't need to take a picture of the screen. we're gonna put this up as a PDF document onto the website. That'll be up within the next couple of days. So there's several books, both fiction and nonfiction, suggestions, as well as some links for films and film clips. That it's always good to have that in advance, especially in the couple months leading up to the tour, to kind of get you, kind of set the mood, set your brain in Italian and prepare you for the trip. There'll be a tremendous amount. It always happens when you travel between your local guides, between Professor Burke, between Cantor Rosenberg, and city guides and museum guides, all this, you're going to be encountering a tremendous amount of information. It's just the nature of travel like this, and having just kind of that basic knowledge or timeline in your head of Italian history and Jewish Italian history is going to enhance your experience substantially. So I always like to recommend that. Now, some basic information about how the site works and registration, and then we can open it up to more general questions and all of that. As I promised at the beginning, I'm going to try to keep it as relatively as brief so we can get to as many questions as we can. When you register, assuming that you're interested in registering for the tour, you have two options. One is up here. This is a PDF registration form. This is old-fashioned. You pull up a PDF, you print it out, you fill it in with a pen, and you send it back to us. You can take a picture of it and email it back to us, or you can put it in the mail along with a deposit check, or there's a credit card form. Or if you would like to, you can attempt to register right online. There's full online registration right down here. There's this little book button. When you click it, it pops open this little window. You fill in how many people are traveling, and then click continue. And it brings you into the, I was on this page for so long it timed out. Sorry. So here, I'll go back to it. It brings you into the registration system. So this is right back on the main of our website. You can see it goes here and then here. When I click continue, and when you get to this page, the important part on this page that I just want you to see is that there's a little checkbox right here that lets us know that you are joining Cantor Rosenberg. So when you're registering, you want to make sure that you check that off. It has all the information for the price of the trip. We do pre-collect tips, as it lists right there. That's for the guide and the driver, dining room waiters of the various restaurants that you're going to visit. And there's several other questions that it asks you about. Insurance, mobility issues. Is it okay if we use your image in, on Facebook or something like that? You can opt out if you're not comfortable with that. And would you like to be included if we're distributing a group roster? And from there, you go through the booking process. Now, a couple of things. Number one, the initial deposit when you register is $500 per person, $500 per person. One of the nice things that we're doing now post-COVID, and we put it in place to help encourage people to start registering for trips again when things were still a little iffy. Frankly, things are gangbusters now. We're full speed ahead, but we kept it in place because people liked it so much, is that deposit is fully refundable until 120 days before the trip. You're not going to find that with many travel companies. This is meant, as I said, to encourage people that they should feel comfortable registering for the tour. And of course, within that 120 days, it gradually goes up until at 30 days, it becomes non-refundable. Question people often ask is, when is full payment due? Full payment is due 90 days or roughly 3 months before departure. So you have that information. And next question people ask is, well, what happens if I have to cancel at the last minute and it is full penalty? Well, as long as it's for a covered reason, we do offer a group policy. This is through a company called TravelX. It's one of the larger travel insurance companies. Frankly, in this day and age, everybody should be traveling with travel insurance. You don't have to get it through us. You can get it somewhere else. You're not required to have it. But I shouldn't say strongly, I encourage you to do it. I recommend that you take travel insurance. You never know what's going to come up. This is not just for cancellation. This is for delayed baggage, delayed flight, canceled flight, totally lost baggage, medical issues that happen while you're traveling, all those sorts of things that please may it not happen to you, but better that you're covered and it doesn't happen than the other way around. So we try to make it as easy as possible. Literally, all you have to do is just click yes on the little drop down here before you continue, and we will add the cost of travel insurance to your reservation. So I'm not going to go through the whole registration process, but you have the sense of that, and then you fill out all of your information. By the way, if you need to renew your passport or anything like that, it doesn't matter. You can complete the registration online and send us the passport information later. We do need your passport information in advance of travel. Okay. I think I've hit pretty much everything I wanted to hit just in the general sense, except one other thing. We did have an early bird that ran through November 1st. It ended on November 1st. If you click here when you're on the website, you'll see it on the flyer. Because we're having this meeting now, I realize it's over. It's too late. You didn't get a chance to do it. For the next, essentially the next 4 days and through Friday of this week, anybody that registers from your congregation, I will manually go back in and apply that early bird discount to you. So you have a few days to think about it until Friday, and you'll get that $100 per person early bird discount. So I wanted to make sure that you had that. So last but not least, I just want to give you a sense, especially fresh in my mind, having just been in Morocco with a couple of groups, of that beyond the general sites. If you haven't been to Italy before, of course you're going to see these major sites. You're going to see Florence. You're going to see Venice. You're going to have a chance to ride on a gondola. You're going to take a cooking class in Rome. You're going to do all of these sorts of things that you really want in your in Italy, any Italy experience. There's several experiences that are built into this that are above and beyond that. Of course, traveling with Cantor Rosemberg, there's going to be a musical aspect to this tour. And of course, traveling with Professor Burke, there's going to be scholarship that's top level. But in addition to those things, you're going to have the opportunity to interact with local Jewish communities and get a flavor, get a sense, not just of the history, which we've been talking about, but what it's like to live as a Jew in Italy today. It's not all hearts and flowers. There's challenges. So there can be challenges to living a Jewish life in Italy today, but there's also some very interesting things that you'll learn about and you'll see and you'll explore in having these interactions with the communities. So as I mentioned, having just been in Morocco, I love these types of experiences. They're meaningful, they're lasting, they stay with you. And just having these opportunities, especially after these last couple of years where they just didn't exist, they're powerful. They're really meaningful. So I'm excited for you that you have this opportunity to participate here. And with that, I'll unshare my screen here so you can see me. Hi. And I'll open it up. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Jeff. This was absolutely fantastic. Thank you. So I'm going to start with a few questions and then perhaps open for everybody. Couple of things. Suppose that we all fly together to Rome. What happens once we arrive to the airport? Somebody from Ayelet is going to be waiting for us, or we should pre-arrange for rides to the hotel? Can you talk a little bit about that? And the second one, if you want to talk a little bit, is about meals during the trip.
Yeah, absolutely. So to answer the first question first, if you decide to arrange for a group flight, and you're all arriving together, yes, we will arrange for a group transfer for you to get from the airport to the hotel. So yes, there'll be somebody from Ayelet that meets the group at the airport. They got the sign, and meet you with the bus and help load luggage and take you to the hotel. If you're not doing that and people are arriving individually, you would be on your own. So you would just hop in a taxi and head to the hotel. Second question was about meals. So I apologize to look, my screen's this way. So there are several dinners, there's several meals that are included. First of all, let me just say the breakfasts at the hotels are included every day. So of course you've got breakfast already included. There are several dinners, welcome dinner in Rome, a dinner with the community in Rome, the Jewish community in Rome. A dinner is included in Siena, Shabbat dinner in Florence, and farewell dinner in Venice. In addition to that, along the way, of course, there'll be opportunities when you stop during the day for lunch. There'll always be recommendations for places to stop and eat. Your guide is going to be there. You know what? One thing I didn't cover, and I covered a lot of stuff, is how it works a little bit differently than, particularly if you've been to Israel before on a group tour, but you haven't been to Europe. It works a little bit differently. What do I mean by that? In Israel, you have one tour guide that's with you throughout the entire time, and they're your guide. They've been certified to guide throughout all of Israel. You might have a docent or something like that at a museum or a specific site, but otherwise they're your guide. In Italy, as it is in the rest of Europe, guides are certified on a city basis. So you have a licensed city guide that's going to be with you, and you're also going to have what's called a tour director. So in addition to your group leaders, Professor Burke, all of this, you're going to have a tour director that's with you throughout the entire trip, that's going to help to arrange the logistics, make sure that things run smoothly with hotel check-ins and making sure special requests are handled for meals and all sorts of things like this. And oftentimes there's somebody that's certified as a city guide in one city, in which case they'll be your guide in that city, but otherwise you'll have local city guides and a tour director that's with you throughout the entire trip.
Wonderful, wonderful. How many people are you thinking about having in total for this trip?
So that depends somewhat on your group. Our plan right now is to have either a single bus, if we can fit everybody into a single bus. We already have a little over 20 people that are signed up for this trip with Professor Burke. So if you have 10 people going, that fits on a single bus. If you have 30 people going, you would have your own bus traveling in parallel. Professor Burke, of course, gives his programs when everybody is together, so you don't miss out on any of that. But as of right now, that's what we're planning on doing for the trip.
Good. And my last thing will be that, just for everybody to know that you've seen, the trip will be a combination of morning lectures and then sightseeing pretty much in the afternoon, right?
Correct, yeah. And of course, we're just in terms of time of year, we're talking about July in Italy. It's going to be hot. So we are going to try to coordinate the programs. It's listed as a morning lecture. We might, depending on the weather or things like that, we might change things around a little bit so that, particularly in the heat of the afternoon, you're getting a little bit of siesta time or a bit of a break in the heat of the afternoon, so that if particularly things where you're outdoors, we try to do in the mornings when it's still a little bit cooler.
Okay, sounds very good. All right, everybody. Feel free to ask Jeff some questions. All right, not all at once, please.
Unmute and shoot. Yep.
Okay. I just want to know at the end of the trip, if we're flying in and out of Rome, how do we get from where we end to Rome?
So you'll take a look at the different options. Venice, it is possible to go over land, but you don't want to do that. There are flights out of Venice where you can connect back into Rome and then connect to the international flight.
So we end in Venice and then, okay.
Yep, exactly. ITA, for example, is an Italian airline. You can fly Venice to Rome and then nonstop back to Boston from
there. Jerry, you had a question.
You
were asking me a few questions.
Curious on the travel.
The other Jerry. The other Jerry.
Sorry.
You had some questions about how the trip is handling mobility and things like that. Am I right? Can you unmute yourself?
I think things have changed, so that's probably not a problem.
Oh, good. Sounds wonderful.
For the dinners that are on our own, will you suggest, kosher or vegetarian places?
Yeah, actually, hold on. I'm going to show you one thing. That's my God, it's almost like I paid you for that question. That was great.
Hey, do I get a discount?
Yeah, if you're back, can you see my screen again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So on the bottom, underneath the itinerary, if you keep scrolling, there's a little bio of Professor Burke. It says this is not a kosher tour, although served meals will offer either fish or vegetarian options for any included meals. And then there are links down here. Kosher restaurants in Rome, kosher restaurants in Florence, Venice, and then a link to Happy Cow, which is a great resource, if you don't know it, for vegetarian restaurants all over the world.
Okay.
So you've got that right on the bottom of the website.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Wonderful. Yes.
Other Jerry.
Jerry Gordon.
You mentioned about Yaela doing travel insurance. Approximately how much is that?
So the way that the insurance is calculated, it's based on the cost of the tour. Hold on, I can share my screen one more time, and I'll show you. Okay, so back up here at the top, if you go to the homepage, under travel information, there's a little tab for travel insurance here. And within this page, there's a big button. It says 360 group choice. That's the group policy. And on this page, it's a PDF. There's a chart right here. I'll zoom in. And it shows you one of the really nice things about the plan that we offer is it only breaks people into 2 age categories, 0 to 24 and 25 plus. And if you ever traveled before and took travel insurance, you know it starts to get very expensive the older you are. This policy does not discriminate against older age. And so it tends to be, in comparison to other policies, very affordable. The trip of the basic land tour would fall into this $5,000 to $6,000 range, $373 per person. Of course, you'd want to add and protect your airfare as well. So let's say you spent $2,000 or up to $2,000 per person. Right now, flights, by the way, are pricing somewhere in the $1,300 to $1,500 range round trip to Boston right now. So if you did that, you would hop up to this category where you're protecting up to $8,000 per person. There's a per person costs for $498 per person. So somebody has a calculator, I think that ends up being somewhere around 6, maybe 7% of the cost of the trip for insurance. And so all this information is available right on the website. Again, it's just right up here under travel info. You just click on travel insurance and you get to this page and click this little button.
We are always obviously going to look at the category of 0 to 25, right?
Right.
Karen.
Couple of questions for you. First of all, I met Stephen Burke when I was on a mission to Cuba. He's terrific.
Good.
Just so everybody knows, he's wonderful. In fact, he taught my nephew when my nephew was at Union. So
nice.
That connection as well. A couple of questions. When you showed your travel insurance, that was for double occupancy. If you're doing a single supplement, I assume I don't have to pay travel insurance with the upcharge for single upcharge.
Well, that's up to you, because essentially the travel insurance coverage is as much coverage as you want. So if you're traveling as a single, you're going to pay the single supplement, which for people that don't know means basically tour pricing is based on 2 people sharing a hotel room. So the cost of the hotel room is split between the 2 people. If there's only 1 person in the hotel room, you have to pay what's called a single supplement, which means you're paying for the second half of that hotel room. So if you wanted that amount to be covered, yes, you'd want to bump up the category of travel insurance so you're sure that, God forbid you have to cancel at the last minute, you're fully covered for the cost of your trip.
The other question is, I still am not quite clear on when multiple buses are going to get together for some of these things. You're expecting multiple buses from different communities or combined communities. So when will people get together? We don't always want to be at the same site, seeing it at the same time, because then it's difficult to tour.
So as opposed to when we were planning this with the Cantors Assembly, and for example, when we did Spain in 2000, whenever that was, 16, yeah, that was, I think that was 11 buses or 12 buses, something like that. That is not the plan here. We are just running our traveling university bus, and we're also running this for you. If it ends up being 2 buses, it'll be 2 buses. So in terms of coordination, logistic coordination, it'll be limited. If there's few enough of you, it'll be a single bus, so it's not an issue at all. But when you're coming together, there'll be certain meals that you're coming together. For the programs with Professor Burke, of course, you're coming together. But no, the idea is not that you're traveling in lockstep. If you're on 2 separate buses, you're not showing up at every site at exactly the same time. That's not the intention.
So if Elias doesn't get 20, 30 people to pull up a bus, we could end up with folks that are outside our temple community.
You could look at it that way, or you could look at your bus, your group is joining the main tour bus. But either way, yes, you're correct. Yeah.
Just trying to understand.
Yeah.
And Jeff, following that question, most of the people traveling are from different Jewish communities in America, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
For example, on the Morocco Traveling University trip that just happened, we actually had people from 12 different states on that trip, which is pretty cool.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, anybody else has any other questions?
So Elias, are you thinking of, me, I always ask questions, of putting the group together for travel for airlines like we did for March of the Living?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yes, of course. As Jeff mentioned, the minimum is 10 for a group flight. And so we'll take it, I mean, we've been doing enough publicity at the synagogue, and I know that several people couldn't attend the meeting tonight. So hopefully I'm going to forward all this recording to everybody and take it from there. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. So Jeff, thank you so much for this fabulous meeting, and very much looking forward to this unique experience.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'll just leave you with.
Jeff, what
of
is your
course-
email again? Sorry.
All right, that's what I was going to leave you with. If people have questions, you can contact my office. Again, the phone number is 800-237-1517, or my email is jeff@ayelet.com, jeff@ayelet.com. My colleague Daron, who is sleeping in Israel right now, is the main point of contact for this tour. So his email address is Doron@ayelet.com, DORON@ayelet.com. His extension, if you're calling that main number, that office number, is 335. That's 335. Keep in mind that even when he's not in Israel, his home is in Europe. He's just outside of Prague. So in terms of time change, he tends to work weird hours. All of us that work in travel tend to work weird hours. So an email tends to work well. We try very hard to get back to people within 24 hours. So if you have simple questions, anything like that, you can always try an email if you can't reach one of us by phone. And we're here to help. Any other questions people have, along the way, let us know. And I look forward to welcoming you in Italy next summer.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much, Jeff,
very
for your
much.
time, and thank you everybody for joining. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.